Sorry. Let's try that again. I'd like to call the special meeting, Marquette County Board of Commissioners special meeting Tuesday, November 25th, 11 a.m. in room 41 to order. Marty, would you be kind enough to lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Marty, for that. Approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Newman, and is there support? Support by Commissioner Alholm. Any questions or comments on the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of agenda. Approval of minutes from.
Would you like me to do roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Roll call, please, Court. I jumped out.
Commissioner Newman.
Here.
Commissioner Alholm.
Here.
Commissioner Nordine.
Yes, here.
Chairperson DeRocha.
Here
And Commissioners Adamini and Lalone.
are not here.
I expect Dana any minute. She might have went upstairs.
Approval of the minutes of the following meeting. Right here.
No, that.
Oh, it's a summary. I'm
no,
sorry.
That is a summary of.
Summary,
What we're up to.
summary. All right. So there are no minutes. No proclamations, presentations, or awards. We'll skip to line item number 5, public comment. Please keep. We have a 5-minute. The first public comment is 5 minutes, and the second public comment is 3 minutes. So we don't have a podium down here, but public comment. Go ahead. Please state your name.
Margaret Brown, 404 East Magnetic Street. I'm confused, and that's my public comment. I couldn't get enough information from what was publicly available to understand the meaning, purpose, or the timing of this meeting. I'm sure all of that will be addressed, but I used to work for a company that would start in the middle of the meeting and assume that everyone knew everything else that had happened before that. So if it's reasonable and prudent for me to request that somebody bring us up to speed as to why we're here now and why it had to be done today as opposed to waiting for the next meeting. That's all I ask. Again, I'm just confused and I like to go into a meeting knowing what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. Public comment.
Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Cubic Aviation has deeply valued our relationship with the Marquette County Board and Sawyer International Airport. The purpose is simple today, just to reconfirm our commitment to the and highlight our ongoing partnership and request for fair consideration. In 2020, the provider at that time had a maintenance provider that was failing. In 2020, I was approached. I stepped in. I put a maintenance base here. Opened up my own maintenance facility on its own. Took on that provider and tried to better the airport here. Ran that for a couple of years. The fuel contract came up for bids, and in 21 we bid that fuel contract with a competitive bid. We were fairly priced. We had all the qualifications in running aviation business for 30 years. It was chosen to go to a different provider or stay with the current provider. At that time, Cubic Aviation respected that, stood by, and continued on with our maintenance operation. In 23, we were approached by this board to step in because the existing provider was failing yet again. Within 4 weeks, Cubic Aviation stepped in, over the contract, stood it up, and made sure that the FBO ran and continued to provide quality service. With that commitment, we had asked for a minimum of 5-year commitment to recoup our costs. We were assured that we'd have that. 24, the first ever, to my knowledge, the first ever major military operation was hosted here. putting in the KC-135s. Cubic Aviation, with the partnership of the county, stepped in, made sure that all the logistics were met, everything that it needed was there. That operation went off very well, which led to further operations. The KC-135 operators left here very happy and congratulated us, and we're looking forward to coming back to work with them. That led us to 2025. Again, as I believe I was told that it was the first ever joint military operation was conducted off of a active military base. We stepped in with the county, stepped up. We purchased additional equipment, leased assets, did all kinds of things. My staff stepped in and coordinated everything, take on a huge endeavor. Even despite the fact that the total fuel sold was about the third of what we were told and what we're preparing for, we went ahead with the operation, took care of everything as needed. It wasn't a problem because we viewed it as a groundwork for the next operation. So that went really well. I just asked that the board consider the fact that we've been there repeatedly, standing side by side with the county, a better operation. I asked that the county consider retracting their termination notice. And if there's anything that our county can do to better our position, work with the county better, if there's something that needs to happen, we're open and ready for discussions.
Public comment. Oh, sure.
Yeah, so thanks for taking the time to hear our public comments today. My name is Jordan, Chief Operations Officer for Cubic Aviation. My focus as Chief Operations Officer is on the daily operational health of the airports we service, safety of our personnel, and continuity of services. I want to address why I did not speak at the last airport advisory meeting, since that did come up at the last county board meeting. I want to clarify, I intentionally chose not to provide comment at that time because we were working at that time on our response as an organization with our general counsel, and it was unclear what direction the advisory board was going to go with this matter. My decision was not silence, but responsibility. I believe that it was in everyone's best interest to understand the legal standing first, so we could speak clearly and accurately. Speaking of the last county board meeting, there was a discussion about another contractor, Van Dam, whose agreement is coming to an end. The board specifically noted that they should be given the opportunity to be heard because they may have business plans or other contracts connected to their lease. We greatly appreciate that level of consideration for local business, and we simply ask for the same fairness and consideration. Cubic has made substantial investments in equipment, staffing, and operational capacity based on the expectation that we would have a minimum of 5 years to recoup our investments. Like Van Dam, we have business plans, financial commitments, and workforce decisions tied to the stability of our contract. We are not asking for special treatment, only consistent treatment. Over the past year, Cubic has made substantial financial and operational investments at Sawyer, including specialized fueling equipment and maintenance, workforce hiring and training programs, safety and regulatory compliance, operational redundancy to support the commercial airline service. These investments were made in great faith, believing that we would have a long enough term to recoup and continue supporting the airport growth. Abruptly terminating the contract jeopardizes these investments and creates operational uncertainty that affects not just our business, but the airport's continuity and reliability. Our goal is not conflict. We want to be partners in success of the airport. We are committed to working collaboratively with the county, transparently and constructively. If there are performance questions, revenue opportunities, or operational improvements that the county would like to explore, we certainly welcome those conversations. As the COO, I am focused on ensuring that whatever path is chosen strengthens and not disrupts the airport's service, compliance, and economic development goals. So in closing, we respectfully ask for the same opportunity to be heard that the county believes is important for other contractors. We value this airport, this community, and our relationship with the county, and continue to ask for transparency, fairness, and the chance to move forward together in a way that supports the airport's long-term stability and growth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Jacob Gaudet. I am the Director of Finance for Cubic Aviation. I wanted to take a moment and just kind of present a couple of the black and white numbers behind the current situation. I don't want to get into the actual specific numbers on our accounting books. If there's an appropriate time and place and it's helpful to the board, we might be able to come to an agreement where we can share some of our books and take a moment to look at some of that to make the best and prudent decision for the community. I had a couple of different points I wanted to make here. First off is just regarding the early termination of the FBO contract that we've talked about here. From the start of the agreement, as Chad said, Cubic Aviation structured the business plan, the investment strategy around recouping the initial investment over the course of 5 years, if not additional contract terms. Chad Cubic did this the right way over the course of 5 years. He didn't just start it as quickly as possible. He made the correct investments, didn't take any shortcuts, wanted to do this the right way possible, assuming and with the bare promise that it would be over at least 5 years. Second, I want to highlight the financial value that the county under the current agreement is receiving under the relationship here. So with the current arrangement, the county does receive a revenue from Cubic Aviation running the FBO, and this is without taking on any of the operational risk. So right now, all of the responsibilities and risks are owned by Cubic Aviation, and the county just receives profit from this with no operational risk. Third, I want to outline the scale of the costs that Cubic Aviation currently carries in order to operate the FBO. Beyond initial investments that I was referencing, there's a lot of ongoing costs with staffing, equipment maintenance, regulatory requirements, and daily operations. These are vast and substantial expense commitments. These are expenses that currently the county does not bear at all. And if the county or another organization were to take over the responsibilities directly, they would face significant startup costs. And then the ongoing operational costs that I just referenced would most likely increase, if anything. In closing, my goal today was just to present some of the black and white finance data. I'm a finance guy, so that's the language that I like to speak in. Cubic Aviation and myself, we stand by to provide further context if it helps at all with the decision. Thank you.
Public comment.
Craig Kosha, many of you know me, but I'll just go ahead and outline some of the points of my background. Number one, I'm an aviator. I have 5,000 hours of aviation experience, and I fly a transcontinental capable airplane, and I've been to hundreds of FBOs all around the nation. Two, there's an organization that formed a little bit over a year ago, Foresight Forward, that's geared towards economic development in the Foresight Township area. I chair the business development side of that. Third, I'm a business owner. Silent, maybe you don't know, I have a significant amount of holdings in the hospitality industry in Marquette County, and I have a significant investment in the Gwin area and have been increasing it recently, been financing some development. Given those things, I think it's important to realize that we have the best service that we've had in 30 years, obviously 2 different locations. So multiple iterations of FBOs. The prior iteration was an outside organization, and we've seen outside organizations come in this community and suck money out. Ran into difficulties. We requested help from a UP-based business, brought them in. They've helped increase general aviation operations, supported flight instructors and general aviation. Those numbers are very important because our tower is based on operations. Now, granted, general aviation numbers don't get weighted as high as commercial aviation, but think of it as a penny block. You get thousands of pennies, those add up. So the general aviation numbers add up, and they are a constant. And they're local. Airline operations, you know, they come and go. The general aviation numbers are a big support for us. I think the second issue, looking at it so Cubic provides a very good service. Looking at it from a business perspective, local businesses, what kind of message are we sending to local businesses? Here I am, Foresight Forward, reaching out, telling people, come invest in Sawyer, come invest in Gwin. And they're going to turn around and tell me, well, why should I bear the cost of starting up when I don't know if I'm going to get a return when they see what's happening? And I can't market the area with that message. Third, I don't know that the county or a public agency running a private business is ideal. Again, I visited hundreds of FBOs. I've yet to see a government-run, county, city-run FBO that's better than a private. Staffing, clients, many different issues. It's a 24/7 business. And honestly, it's got a lot of moving parts and I believe would create a lot of distractions for the county and airport. Airport has a lot of challenges ahead. I attended a meeting earlier this winter or fall about trying to increase market share for the airport. That's where our county needs to be oriented. We've got a I believe when I heard we have a no risk contract generating revenue. What in the world are we shifting our business model for when we're generating revenue and we're going to send a negative message to the business community and we may not be able to meet the same standard of operation?
Thank you for your public comment. Public comment.
I'm Matthias Munger, and I'm the manager out at the Cubic Aviation. I've been in law enforcement for 36 years, so I know about dealing with people and customer service and taking care of people. I know about being true to people and what your word is and taking care of them. Cubic Aviation has invested experience, equipment, and staff to make Sawyer safe and efficient and welcoming airport. We support a commercial airline, general aviation pilots, medevacs, and transient traffic without taxpayer risk. When the government displaces local business, take over its operations, several problems follow. Costs often rise once the true expense of staffing, compliance, and liability become clear. Since service levels, its pilot satisfaction decline without a dedicated FBO focused on customer needs. And the message it sends that private business can be pushed aside and will discourage others from investing here. Because I think Dr. Bosha has been on that. The airport has succeeded through public-private partnerships, not government competition. The county believes improvements are needed. Cubic Aviation has already been willing to discuss updated terms and performance goals. But replacing a proven local operator with government control is the wrong direction for Sawyer. We're asking this commission to reconsider the wisdom of this move and to recommend transparency, collaboration, and fairness before irreversible damage is done to Sawyer's business environment. And one thing that I haven't heard discussed in the several meetings that I have attended is that there's been no talk about AIP funds. I'm concerned that if something like this happens, the airport's going to lose that ability to get these AIP funds. One of the things they have to do when they take on these AIP funds is and the airport that takes these funds must agree to a series of legal considerations called grant assurances. The FAA's grant assurance 22 is an economic non-discrimination and 23 is an exclusive rights. Grant number 22, grant assurance 22 is economic non-discrimination. The airport must make its facilities available to all types of aeronautical users without unfair discrimination. And grant assurance 23, exclusive rights. The airport may not grant exclusive rights for aeronautical services to use its government status to drive out private competition. If the county terminated Cubic Aviation just to take over fuel sales itself, they may violate one or both assurances. And the FAA can investigate, mediate, and even withhold future federal funding if it confirms unfair practices. There have not been any performance discrepancies cited against Cubic Aviation, and there has been no competitive bid process. I think I heard Commissioner Holm reply at the last meeting that there was a rationale in the decision. And Commissioner Nardine expressed some concern too, but he did support it. And I think with Commissioner Nardine and Commissioner Newman, we need to prepare, or they would prepare for cases, and get all their ducks in line before they're going to say something. So I think our delay is that reason. We want to make sure that we had everything in line before we say anything. And then with the finance committee decision to eliminate contract, I believe that it was just premature. I don't think it was thought out enough. And, it had nothing to do with the 3 million that was talked about. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your public comment. Public comment.
Greg Duran, 786 Lakewood Lane, retired in 2004 from the United States Air Force, 27 years of service. Moved my family back to Marquette because Marquette's one of the areas where you can let your kids run wild and somebody will help you get home. Somebody will help you give them a just a great community. So when I closed my career down in Okinawa, Japan, after 7 years over there, we moved back to Marquette. Got my pilot's license in 2003, just before leaving the air base in Okinawa. Came back and started flying locally here with Skyward Aviation. At that time, Boreal Aviation, great support, great family. The aviation family, which is the term I like to use, is very tight knit and very supportive. We lost Skyward Aviation. We started the Marquette County Flying Club, thanks to Randy Gerard, who passed the baton to us. We started with 6 members with 1 airplane, and today we have 6 airplanes and 75 members. During that time, it's been very interesting dealing with the airport. Keith Kaspari, Steve Shinden, Randy Ray, now Dave Earhart, over the years. We talk about this airport, and when I left this air base in 1991, it was one of the top 10 ship bases in the airport. Drive out there today to see what's happened. I asked myself, what has happened over the last 30 years? Why was the county not involved in maintaining and directing a lot of what's been going on up there? I do commend you for being involved with the airport and trying to make positive changes out there. It's never too late to start. We're all here to help in that sense. I understand we have $3 million to spend in 3 quarters, and that's going to be very challenging to move it into the right place. I've been an advocate for a long time that we create an airport authority, which would bring some expertise to the process. I understand the county's very busy. All of us are busy. But with the airport authority, what that's going to create is some greater autonomy. And I just Googled something with airport authorities and counties and transitions and stuff like that. There's greater autonomy, and independent airport authority can have more flexibility in operations and decision-making than a county-run airport. Where we have a meeting once a month, and then it takes another month for anything to happen. And an airport authority can streamline that process very quickly. An authority can better focus on airport business priorities without being directly controlled by county commissioners. A dedicated authority may be more agile and efficient in making and implementing decisions, including those related to infrastructure improvements and financial matters. I understand the county wants the airport to be self-sufficient. I was at that meeting when you had made that comment, Commissioner Rocha, and I commend you on that. I would totally agree. I'd love to see it financially independent as well. But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of infrastructure and building to create that environment that's going to be self-sufficient for us. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Public comment?
Good morning, my name is Jesse Bell. I'm a frequent user and customer of the airport and the FBO. I'm really just here to express my support for Cubic Aviation. I've seen the transition from Boreal to Cubic. They've done a phenomenal job. The staffing out there has never been so wonderful. They've got great people in place, and they're sufficiently staffing. We had a lot of staffing shortages previously where you might try to get fuel and there's nobody around it to help out with that. So thank you, Chad. Chad's also personally volunteering with Northwoods Air Lifeline, which is an organization for which I also volunteer. And it's just fabulous to have that support from the FBO. I'm very much concerned with the possibility of the county taking over the FBO and decision, and hopefully take up Cubic on their offer to review the books and fully understand all the financial implications of operating an FBO. Just one little anecdote. One of the airplanes that I fly had a little mishap when being moved by FBO crew, and this tiny little gear door covers up the landing gear. The gears retracted was damaged in the operation. $7,500 to repair that gear door, and the FBO was on the hook for that when that happened. Small example, but I think the situation we have today with no risk and nothing but income is a pretty sweet deal.
Thank you. Thank you for your public comment. Public comment. Public comment. Any further public comment? One more time, public comment. Any electronic participation?
None of my comments.
Okay.
Oh, wait, so I got one.
Okay,
Would you like to call them?
sure, absolutely.
Abby.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Abby, go ahead. You are on.
My name is Abby Shearholtz, and I'm one of the most involved CFIs out here at the airport. And I also just, going off what Jesse said, want to show my support with Cubic. I am a former employee of Boreal Aviation, the operator that was here before them, and I have never worked for Cubic, but worked with them a lot. And I very much want to support what they're doing. They have done great things for me as a business owner out here at the airport to be successful. I teach a bunch of students, and they have been great at providing airplanes and rooms and resources for us to use. And it wouldn't have been possible without them being around. And just that alone drives our general aviation community and keeps people coming to the airport. Along with instructing, I fly corporate, and I see FBOs all over the country run by many different operations, as Craig was saying. And like he said, private operators, I tend to see better success out of. I think that's what'll drive people to continue coming to Sawyer, flying into Marquette and some places. And they've just shown great support to the general aviation community alone and made it possible for over 15 new pilots to join our community in the past year. And many more things beyond that, but I really would strongly reconsider this because their support to general aviation, I don't see anybody else being able to support it the way they do. So thank you.
Thank you for your public comment, Abby. Any further public comment?
That's it.
We good? Yeah. Public comment. One last time, public comment. We'll close the first public comment period. No review of claims and accounts, no public hearings, privilege information, the privilege comment, and the informational items. And then let's go straight to 10A, discussion of Marquette County assuming fixed base operator at Marquette Sawyer Regional Airport. So I'll start off with what's got us here. And I guess, board, you have in front of you some documentation in regards to what I would call one of the most important pieces, which is a financial component to the current situation. And I don't know if council, are we good to be transparent and open up discussion as to where we're at here?
Yes, I believe we are.
And not only with this document, as to how we landed here?
Yeah. I feel comfortable saying it.
So let me continue and then we'll dice this up so you can see. This board created a airport advisory committee. And the advisory committee created a finance committee to dig deep into all of the fiscal operations of Sawyer. And it just didn't include the fixed based operator. It included the entire packet. We've often been applauded over the course of time for trying to be fiscally sound and be responsible for their money and responsible to make Sawyer become self-sustaining. And a group of yous, we're all good with it until it affects everybody directly. And I get it. We look at all the contracts. It's not unique to just one or two. It's about the financial stability of Marquette County and its ability to put Marquette County first. There's a reason Sawyer has not been what I would deem terribly successful, because we gave away all the assets. This county board, including myself, voted on things over the course of time. But from a global perspective, there's been a lot of things that have gone on that everyone needs to be aware of. and why we're here first on this contract, right? I heard a lot about fuel. I heard a lot about expenditures. I heard a lot about which is all fine. And we're not going to get into a public debate on where we landed here, but our airport authority voted the not the authority, the advisory board voted unanimously, including people sitting here in this room today, to support these things. We brought it to the county board. My vice chair had some concerns about the vagueness, but we're going to peel some of that open today. Whether this and if council is okay, can I go into the history of a year ago plus?
Yeah, if you feel the need to do that.
Okay. So why we're here today is there's been some contractual issues along the way that have plagued specifically the Kubik Aviation. And that's gone on for, I guess, Dwayne, is it a year and a half?
It's been a little over a year.
Over a year. So there's been contractual issues with this vendor for over a year that have not been resolved. Marquette County chose and took legal direction. This is why a lot of this wasn't put out there. We have legal counsel, doesn't put us out. But given where we're at today, you know, when we get directed not to discuss something based on litigation or potential litigation, we follow, right? So at this point, I'm okay going into some of this. We got a year and a half of what Marquette County feels are potential deficiencies in the contract. The contract was signed and agreed upon with Marquette County and Kubik Aviation. And whatever those contractual disputes were can lay there. The county then, through council, said it would be much cleaner to just terminate for no cause the 6-month agreement that's in the contract. Also, that lines up directly with one of the most important things that we're trying to achieve here. We want to make Sawyer self-sustaining. And by doing that, taking back the one financial component will assist that, but the service is the most important piece, that we would be in direct control of our own service. And that's very important. Okay. Now, for those of you who sit here who may want to say, well, how do we do this? Right. We have had a history of giving up all of these profitable things, whether it's this specific issue or others. And we need to clean that up. I think as a board, we have to look at these things. We also have to look at the creation of union jobs as we move forward and the historic service that we can provide. We have to do things better out there for the taxpayers that we represent. And I wholeheartedly, you have in front of you a confidential document that just got produced in regards to bottom line net profit for Marquette County. In that world of if Marquette County assumes the fixed-based operator. And the bottom line to that is $1.8 million. That's why this room is full today. Okay, that's why the room is full. And I sit here and I don't want to get into an adversarial situation. I want to be able to do what's best for Marquette County, best for Sawyer, right? We need to do better there. For all of you who are intimate with Sawyer and go out there daily, you drive around there, you can see how successful it's been. And I don't think it's been very well. I'll allude to some of the comments that were in the crowd here. So now we have to put our hands on it. And as far as authorities go, the bottom line is an authority doesn't work well because Marquette County is always going to be held responsible whether the authority is successful or not, we're on the hook, period. And the other piece, we saw the true colors of this authority and the direction with some of the Invest UP people that attempted to, didn't want to play well, didn't want to get along with the people that this board appointed. So I have a hard time trying to even get my head wrapped around that an authority would be beneficial for the county and the taxpayers we serve. It would not. We would be held directly responsible for any decisions that were made. We would assume the liability to county. We don't get to get rid of that if we had an authority. That was the number one problematic thing with the authority and its creation. So I'm going to, I guess I'll let other commissioners dive in to this issue, but the goal to this specific thing that we're here faced with today is relative to, now we'll get the information out. If the county board felt a little bit that they weren't informed, I'd apologize for that, but we were directed by council not to discuss this. And so now it's out, and let's, I guess, who'd like to start?
You're directed by council not to discuss things with the board members?
No, I was directed not to discuss in the public.
Well, the problem you have here is there's been a lack of support. I mean, there was a lack of support at the meeting. That's the problem we had. I mean, it was this vague thought, and it was like, how can that be enough?
Right.
And then today there wasn't anything either until 40 minutes ago. And now I have two or three pages, and it's like, we're making a very important decision with virtually no information. And I have big problems with that. I don't know what else to say. So let me get into it. I wrote a bunch of notes. I got a lot of notes for this now. So I got questions for Dwayne. When did the Cubic contract begin? What's the date?
I believe it was July of 2023.
Okay. And was Cubic told they get 5 years to recoup their investment?
That I do not recall. There may have been discussions in that, but it is not reflected in the contract for a 5-year guarantee.
Okay. And the notice to terminate, what date was used to terminate?
Well, we originally sent out the document on October 27th. There's receipts delivery on October 29th of 2025.
No, what termination date though did you use in that? 6 months from that date?
It was, according to the contract, it was 6 months.
Well, I know you had to send at least 6 months notice, but I mean, when did you put a termination date in that notice?
Does the termination?
I believe it was May 1st.
May 1st, is that what it was? Okay. Jordan, young lady here, said that they were working on a response. Did we receive a response from Cubic?
No.
Okay. Cubic is offering to show us their books and their accounts so that we can see how the accounting is going, how the expenditures are going, and how the revenues are going. Why would we not want to do that?
I would say we could, if that was the direction of the board, we could request that. That's also in the contract that we would be able to audit.
So I guess, I mean, I feel like that should have happened before we got to this point, but I feel like this thing got rushed and it makes me anxious. I'm not saying it's wrong. And I'll tell you what, I applaud the chair and what he wants to do here. And I get it. I think we all want, I mean, to say that we want to improve Marquette County or improve Sawyer, we all want to improve Marquette County, improve Sawyer.
If I may, Bill, just real
Sure.
quick. So one of the reasons we held a special meeting was the concern of what the board had.
Yes.
So I didn't want this to fester into another week and another week and, but go ahead. Sorry.
So I understand, but you know, the county board, you know, we're elected officials, we have fiduciary duties. We need to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. We make sure that we have information. And it concerns me that the last meeting we had virtually no information. It was just a bunch of bullet points. And now we have 3 pages and it makes me a little bit unsettled about that. But I want more than that, just so Dwayne knows that going forward. I want more than that, or you're going to hear me do this every time. To get back to my questions though. Okay, so Cubic is offering, yeah, I think we should really look at their books before we make a decision, I would have thought, but. And then the last one, I guess my last point that I made a note of is that I'm not convinced government can give better services than private contractors. I'm not convinced of that. I've seen in my own experience in life that government's not always efficient. So I'm not saying we can or can't. I'm just saying that I'm not convinced of it. So there you go. There are my thoughts.
Okay.
I don't know everybody else's.
I appreciate having more information. I wish I had a little sooner. I didn't vote yes on this at the last meeting, and I would put a motion to table it so we can discuss it some more. Or for the county to be able to sit down with Kubrick and go over their finances. I want to do our due diligence.
So Commissioner, what is your motion, Commissioner?
That we.
Please be clear.
Not to be tabling it, but for the county to sit down with Kubrick and review their finances discussion, because they said that they would open their books to us to see if this is the right choice for us.
So it really is a
I have
motion to
lots-
table. It's
I have lots of questions. I don't have an airport background. I represent, the city of Ishpeming and the city of Nagani, and I want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence. If we have a timeline that we have to follow, we can. I'm always happy to meet on Thanksgiving.
The motion requires a second.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Yep. So we have a motion on the floor. Hearing no second. Motion fails. So, Commissioner Elholm, do you have anything?
I have questions about this idea. I think that some of the obligation to provide information to us is the responsibility of the Sawyer Regional Board. That's why we created it and to give these kinds of ideas, but I want some bricks and mortar when someone proposes to do something. Why exactly are you proposing it? What are you proposing in its place? Details. Now, we've gone over some details, and I appreciate that, and I think that it's the right thing to do to have this meeting. But in my mind, as Commissioner Lalonde stated, there's a lot of questions. I think the Vice Chair may have done that as well. I want a fuller draft from the regional board on what they're proposing, why, and how they want to progress with this. I also think Cubic has a right to sit down and meet with either the county staff or the advisory committee. I did not support Commissioner Lalonde's motion to table because I thought it was not particularly going to be helpful because it didn't propose anything as to what we should be doing. Table. Okay. I move that this matter be referred to the Sawyer Regional Board for a detailed rationale of their plan regarding including finances, current and possibly future, and that relevant people working and owning Cubic be involved. And I don't think this has to be forever. We obviously have some financial information already, but it's not enough. This is just an idea concept. That's all I get out of this right now. I want more.
I second.
Commissioner Newmanen.
So I'm going to vote against the motion to refer it to the advisory board. It's already been to the advisory board. The advisory board and the airport finance committee both support this action. When I look at this decision, and it's a difficult decision, but I ask myself three questions. One, is there a rational basis to terminate the contract and take over the fixed-based operations? Two, does our contract with Cubic provide a termination clause that allows us to do this legally? And three, are there other counties in Michigan that operate as their own FBO. With regard to the first one, is there a rational basis for to terminate this and for the county to take over? The answer is yes. This is not new news. We've been working on this. The county has been trying to work with Kubik on this for over a year. And both the finance committee and the advisory committee have recommended that we terminate the contract with Kubik. And it's not just about money, it's about services. Kubik is responsible under the contract to have a person on site, a mechanic. We still don't have a person on site, a mechanic on site. That's just a failure of the contract services provision. We've attempted to work with them. The response has been less than satisfactory. Now here we are at a final 11th hour, and we have a whole bunch of people show up. I met with Mr. Kubik and Jordan there and Mr. Munger 2-3 months ago, something. I don't recall exactly, but some time ago. And I know Dwayne has met with them on multiple occasions. Still waiting for an answer. As Mr. Kubik said today, I haven't provided an answer yet. So the advisory board and the finance committee have both recommended this action. So is there a rational basis to take this action? The answer is yes. And it's not just about money, it's about services. Number two, does our contract with Kubik provide a termination clause? It does. It's a mutual termination clause. This isn't unilateral. Either party could walk away with a 6-month notice, and that's what's been done. That notice has already been sent pursuant to this board's action based on the advice of the advisory board. And number three, we've heard about counties taking over services, and is that a good idea or a bad idea? Well, the answer is at least 3 counties in the UP alone have county-based FBOs. Delta County, Gogebic and Iron County work together on theirs, and Menominee County. In addition, there are other counties that partner up with private services, like Chippewa County, for example, county-based FBO that partners with a private service provider on some of these services. And it's not just the sale of jet fuel; it's hangar facilities that are being managed, and it's management of the FBO and the airport operations. So, you know, it's troublesome that here we are on a special meeting, and now we're hearing, hey, let's sit down and we'll show you our books and we'll talk about it. But it's not just about finance, it's about service as well. And we've been asking, pleading, and begging for that response, and it hasn't been forthcoming. And so that's where we are. The time for this discussion and referral to the committee and whatnot, that's come and gone. The advisory committee has recommended this unanimously. We have an advisory committee for a reason, to give us advice. Their best advice by the people that we've asked, selected for their expertise to give us this advice says terminate the contract with Kubik. So I don't think it advances the cause or helps anything to say, let's send it back to a committee for further review, when that committee is going to say to us, we've already done this. We've considered everything that there's to be considered, and we've made our recommendation to the board. Our recommendation is terminate.
This is what the regional board provided us. FBO contract, county administration has issued a 6-month termination notice to Kubik Aviation. The committee recommends the FBO be county-owned and operated. That's the total sum of the information we received by this board. You obviously have a lot more information available, and I'm assuming that a lot of that is from your service as chief civil counsel. And I think that you also raised very good points. And I'm not saying that I don't think we should go in this direction, except if we're talking about due diligence, I didn't get it from the regional board.
Just and to respond, thank you, Ms. Holm, is that the regional board, the airport advisory board made 5 recommendations. The FBO contract was one of them, and obviously in this singular memo, there's not a lot of information, but the advisory board has made these recommendations based on their assessment of the situation.
And yes, I've been involved in this. I don't have any secret or special knowledge from my prior involvement. But Mr. Duray has been involved in this for a long time. And you're hearing from Mr. Duray, who has this special perspective of both being the county administrator right now, but the airport manager for years. And it's his recommendation as well. So
That's, if I can interject, that's great that you guys have that information. I don't have it. And you're asking me to make a decision off of just 5 items without explanation.
So-
Due diligence
so-
is, I have to know more.
Put that to me, Commissioner.
Okay,
Put
sorry,
that to me.
That's argument. Sorry.
Put that to me. So that's on me.
Yeah,
That's
and
on
this
me.
was our discussion.
The last meeting we had was specific because we didn't have enough information. That lies with me. I had a situation where what information can we put out there that doesn't expose or breach the confidential things that have happened with civil counsel? And I heard you last week, right? And the vice chair as well. I knew that. But what information do we throw out there and then it's going to be used against us in court or however else we do it? That's why we were cautious. That's why you didn't have what you needed. All right. Now, when the finance committee spent hours peeling over every contract that Sawyer has, okay? That's a work product that didn't get put in. We reviewed it. We went over each one of these things, right? And we made recommendations. There was a lot of time and effort. No different than you do with your jail committee. Do we have the information? These are all things of what we do. And then there was it was probably one of the best meetings I had seen out at Sawyer, although we haven't had a lot of them. We had a full participation. It was a good meeting, a great comments, feedback, and interesting enough, the comment was made from Jordan that she didn't make any comments, right? You didn't want to speak to, and I get it. And that's one of the reasons, right? We cautious, we have a legal responsibility, but I want everybody to be crystal clear here. Let's be clear. I am not worried about everybody else on the peripheral. I'm worried about Marquette County today. I'm not worried about the vendors. I am worried about our financial health at Sawyer.
Aren't we all?
We're down I don't know who we are. We're down. If you haven't noticed, right? We have our CFO on it. We spend just shy of $400,000 a year out of the general fund and the taxpayers back. Don't talk to me about how we should proceed when you're not willing to get something to stand on its own 2 legs and be fiscally sound. That's what I'm asking here. Okay. Again, when I opened up my statement earlier, we have a tendency of giving away all of the profitable items, and we need to control the service in order for Sawyer to be successful. That service has to be kept at the county. We do a good job, by the way, Commissioner, with the union jobs we have.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so
And that's
I
not
want
my
you to.
argument. My argument is we just asked for a little bit more.
I get it.
I am not against union jobs. I'd love to have everyone unionized. Everybody knows that. Sorry.
Yeah. So where I'm going with this is there's a
little more to go off of, so I could make a good
yeah.
decision.
So understand, I don't know what the work product has to be developed. We had a meeting on a Thursday. Then the following Tuesday, I brought it forward. I probably should have had that all laid out, and we wanted to address this here today. That's why we held a special meeting, right? That's why we're doing this, so we can flesh this out and we can talk about it. You want it public? Here it is. Let's put it public.
I haven't spoke to this motion.
Go
yet,
ahead.
So
Go ahead.
have my
Sorry.
2 cents.
Sorry. I'm getting, I don't mean to take offense.
I do want to thank Commissioner Newman, though. I found that very enlightening. I thought I liked, I think you think like an attorney. I like to think like that too. A 1, 2, 3. And certainly I trust that the contract allows and has a 6-month escape clause. I trust that. I haven't seen it, but I trust that. And I understand other counties run their FBO, so that's two of them. It's the first point, the rational basis. I'm okay with the rational basis. There's a reason why I did not support Commissioner Lalonde's motion to table, and I'm probably going to vote against this motion because I think that we do need to move forward. However, I am not happy with the lack of information. I am not happy about it at all.
Got it.
I think that the most information that I've gleaned from this hearing, or this hearing, I should call it hearing, or this meeting, was from Commissioner Newman. I thought that was very good. I mean, he's been involved. He knows what's going on. I liked it. I thought that was very good. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not happy with the lack of information.
Okay.
I like documents. I like to see things. I don't like to have something 3 pages put in front of me at the meeting. It makes me uncertain. And I think that we're all fiduciaries of the people's money. I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole of who's concerned about the county's well-being and Sawyer's well-being. It's like we all are. I don't think that's the issue at all. I think the issue is doing things properly, because that's what we do. And I want to make sure we're doing them, but I'm okay moving forward with it. It's just that I didn't like the way it progressed.
I agree with Vice Chair, and I also am very thankful for the information you provided me, because some of it I did not know, especially about other county-run FBOs. I had no knowledge of that. Do you know how successful those are?
Been doing it for years.
So
Also, so I guess, I'm not married to my motion, but one of my existing concerns still remains, how are we gonna do this? So we terminate the contract with 6 months' notice. How are we gonna replace them with us?
So if I may, Commissioner, or Dwayne, would you be kind enough? So if you recall, Commissioner, because you were here, Commissioner Lalonde was not, nor was Commissioner Newman but back in the day, several years back, when the former Boreal had the contract, this was fleshed out and discussed internally on how the county could assume the role of Boreal, and then an RFP was created, bids were put out. So that had been discussed years back. Dwayne, would you like to answer Commissioner Elholm question as to how would we go about managing that?
Well, we've taken a pretty comprehensive look at this and we've looked at staffing. In fact, in one of the documents that you're provided is a spreadsheet that represents the overall cost to bring on adequate staffing. We also looked at utilizing the resources. When we had the Boreal Aviation circumstance, we had all the resources with the fueling trucks and such that we could have implemented all that in. And we had looked at working closely with Boreal to stand that service up. And that was anywhere from 3 to 6 months working collectively with Boreal Aviation. It's not an unforeseeable task. I will admit it is a challenge. Anything worth something is going to be a challenge, and there is a value to having the county operate it. Not that we're saying that Kubik Aviation, and I would want to put this out there. Kubik Aviation and Chad Kubik, they provide great service. I don't discount that. They have provided really good service over the course of time that they've been there. Yes, there are some issues that have arose that we've tried to navigate through, but this is not necessarily a termination for the services or the lack thereof. To some measure, this is a business decision given by Marquette County so that we can utilize this profit center to help sustain the airport. As Commissioner or Chairperson DeRocha brought up, the airport does run a deficit every year. We do have reserves that we've been fortunate to put aside to manage the airport in the coming years, but those dollars are finite. And as we progressively go down the road and see costs increase with construction and operation, if we rely on dollars in the bank without any sustaining revenue source, we are going to be facing a larger problem, not this year, not next year, but probably in the next 5 to 6 years. And then this board is going to have a larger challenge to figure out how we can revenue flow the airport long-term. So again, long-term, long story short, Commissioner, the airport with the staff, with the equipment, it will be work. Our intentions are to start a completely different department. It would be, as Chairperson DeRosa had indicated, it would be a department that is solely focused on customer service. Marquette County, I don't like the term that because your county, you can't run it as good as anybody else. I think that's in derogatory statement. I think county does a great job in a lot of areas. It's all on the department head that's focusing it. And this is going to be a customer service department. We know the value of it. We know that Marquette County has the resources right now to pick this up and run with it. But if we wait until we're out of money, then we're going to be in a far worse state of affairs in having to try to potentially stand up, or we just continue to bankroll the airport out of the general fund.
So basically, your position is not a concern over the services Cubic has provided, but the financial integrity of the county or state, I should say. It's health, let's put it that way.
Yes, Commissioner, that is the primary reason why we selected the alternate method for the termination, because we definitely, yes, there are some challenges that we face, but again, we don't want to go down that road. We have the clause in the agreement that gives us a 6-month termination. It's not trying to drag anybody or any unit through any mud to say that you did this and you didn't do this. This is ultimately, this is a business decision that the county feels, or at least I feel, is appropriate at this time. Well, we have the resources and the ability to stand this up and move it forward.
So I got a historical note I want to point out real quick, and because this gets weight with me, is that the argument when the airport was moved from Negaunee Township to Sawyer was that it would stand on its own financially. At that time, we were losing about $300,000 a year. And we went to Sawyer and he said, we can make this work. So what they did is they set up around the airport this thing called, at that time, it's called a public benefit transfer. And it was a zone that all these buildings were going to be rented out and we were going to make money and it was going to break even. It never happened. It never happened. And by the way, I got on the board in 2000, just for the background of this. I mean, it was right about then when we were doing this. And I harped on this. And Jerry Cork was here today. It's like, yeah. I mean, I harped on it steady. That I'm like, what are we going to do when we don't have the money? Because I'll tell you what we did initially. We sold the infrastructure, some of the infrastructure. So we sold the power lines to UPCO because the Air Force owned all that stuff. It's not normal that they own that stuff, but they did. I mean, at a private place owns it. So we sold the power lines to UPCO, and we sold the gas lines to Semco, and we sold the other lines, the cable lines to whoever, to Spectrum, whoever it was. And we took that money, we put it into the Airport Stabilization Fund. And every year we were trying to manage the airports was as tight as we could, but the Airport Stabilization Fund was going down, down, and down. And every year when we did a budget, I'd bring up to Scott Urbish and Jerry Cork that we're going to run out of money in the Airport Stabilization Fund. And then all of a sudden, we're on the general fund to fund the airport. So I've always wanted to have an airport that stood on its own. I really do. So I guess I see your point with that. I'm concerned that.
Could I give an accolade in
Sure.
between here?
Sure.
When we first got reelected back 11 years ago, you came back on the board, right? Dwayne was a new hire at the airport. And at that time, it was $1.2 million, by the way, of loss every year at the airport. 1.2 million. Dwayne and his efforts have got that down to just under 400K, under 400,000. That's monumental. Now we're trying to take it to the next level and also be in full control of the service. That is so important to Sawyer's success, is to control the service and not being absent the issues of what's triggered maybe some of these decisions. But Go ahead. I
Oh,
just
no,
wanted
no.
to, I wanted to talk
No,
about
good.
how his efforts of coming into a situation where you're down 1.2 million. And then he's dug pretty good. He's dug his way out of that hole.
I guess,
pretty well.
and part of that historical thing, I don't know why it didn't work out with the lease revenues, but it didn't. And so sometimes you have plans and they don't come to fruition. I see people put plans all the time on paper. And they say, well, it's going to work because it says so in that paper. Well, yeah, really? I mean, you wait and see what happens in life. And this, we had plans too, that it was absolutely we were going to make money at Sawyer instead of it costing us 300,000 in Nagani. And it didn't work.
No.
So, I mean, it makes me, I guess, anxious that I hope we know what we're getting into so we don't dig our hole deeper.
Okay. Understood.
But, you know, I do bow to the deference of this advisory committee. That's why we formed them, and to the chair and to the county manager. But I do want more information on other issues in the future.
So we have a motion on the floor in support.
Yeah,
Commissioner, should I take a vote on, would you like me to take the vote on the motion?
We have any other choice
Got
because
it.
we
Yeah.
have a motion.
So we have a motion and support on the floor by Commissioner Alholm. And I'd like a roll call vote. Please. Where's our, down here? I keep looking for Linda over here, right? We're backwards. I guess start on your side and work your way around.
Okay, I'll start with the motion maker, Commissioner Alholm.
I think the motion maker has to vote in affirmative,
Pardon?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry.
I feel like the motion maker has to vote in affirmative. I don't think the support has to. Carl, what do you think of that?
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the should.
Aye.
Huh?
Aye, okay. Commissioner Lalone. Aye. Commissioner Newman.
I vote no.
Commissioner Nordy.
No.
Chairperson Jerosha.
No. So motion fails. Thank you for that. Motion. So any further discussion on moving forward? I think we've really fleshed out a lot of things here today. I get why we're here. I fully understand why we're here. The board understands the financial piece to this and the service and what we're trying to collectively do. It's why we have these advisory boards and ask these individuals to weigh in and give their opinion, and then we make decisions based on that.
Bless you.
So I guess, does anybody have anything they'd like to add?
I don't have anything to add.
So I guess I would like to see someone, a motion to continue the legal action against Kubik and
The legal
enter,
action.
or
Well,
the termination.
Right, I would
excuse
call
me.
it legal action.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The termination. And then I'd also like to underscore that, you know, we can sit down with them and talk about it if the board so chooses to vote to do an exit plan here with them. You know, we financed the fueling equipment with Kubik currently, so Marquette County has a fiduciary financial lien. I believe when this was done, I had worked on that with
Yes.
a commercial UCC filing on all of the fueling equipment. That's not in breach, is it? That's still, do we know if that's,
The payments are current.
Payments
Still
are-
an outstanding receivable.
we still have outstanding receivables and you know, I think I'd like to see some level of cooperation, whether that is or isn't possible, to structure a motion to enter into an agreement to make a clean exit with Kubik Aviation.
Well, I'll just move to adopt the Airport Advisory Board's recommendation as set forth in their November 4, 2025 memorandum to make the FBO county owned and operated.
A motion on the floor by Commissioner Newmanen. Is there support? I'll support it. So we have a motion and support on the floor. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, I will start with the motion maker and the second. Commissioner Newman. Chairperson DeRosa.
Yes.
Commissioner Lalonde.
Difficult decision.
Commissioner?
I'm thinking.
Commissioner Alholm.
Yes.
Chairperson, Vice Chair Nordine.
See, that leaves me off the hook. Doesn't matter, right?
You always do that.
I was hoping she'd go. Yes.
And yes by me.
Oh, you already voted.
Yes. So motion carried. There's no late additions. Public comment. Next public comment is for 3 minutes. Public comment.
So I'd like to respond to some of the comments. First of all, this was a surprise. Even people on the Airport Advisory Commission did not know about this. Their finance committee brought it to them. So we were surprised. This is the first opportunity I've had to meet with this board to discuss this. As you know, I did reach out to you earlier. We were unable to connect. I have spoken with Commissioner Modine. So we have tried to speak and communicate. That's a very tight timeline for that communication. Other counties, do we equivalent counties? Is Delta County equivalent to Marquette? Is Chippewa County equivalent to Marquette? Think about that at the airport. Not even close. Completely different level of operations. A&P, try to find an A&P. You can't find it. We've not had a certified A&P for the majority of the time I've had my plane here. We've had non-certified A&Ps that other A&Ps would then stop in and sign off on the report. We've had A&Ps, quality has been poor. Right now, if there's a maintenance issue, at least the people in Iron Mountain will come and respond and help us stranded personnel. I don't know that the county's going to have any better luck because you're competing with American Eagle, which has much more career opportunities for A&Ps than private. And on top of it, it's someone that's going to have to work alone with no support. And that's very difficult in the world of A&P to work with no support. So there's reasons why, and it's historical that there's been great difficulty getting an A&P. Service, not being detrimental or derogatory, merely stating facts. I fly all over. I've yet to see a county that provides better, county or city, because there are also city-owned FBOs, that provide service better than Pro. Very hard to do. If the county steps up and does a great job, wonderful. I think it's going to be very hard to do. And then, Chair, you mentioned financial concerns. This is a no-risk contract generating revenue. As the Vice Chair stated, we've had other ventures that we thought we were going to make money on. We know we're making money. Why are we taking risk? As a county resident, as a resident of Forsyth, we've got a revenue generating center. Why are we taking risk?
Public comment.
So I want to address the suggestion that Cubic Aviation has been failing to meet the contractual obligations. Since the very beginning that when these concerns were brought up, we have repeatedly requested clarification and communication from both the county legal counsel, who at the time was Mr. Newmanen, and the risk management, Molly. I'm not exactly sure if she's county or airport. We reached out to Attorney Colorado Luminanen numerous times without receiving any substantive response. When representations shifted, which we learned after weeks of no response, to his counterpart Alex, we still did not receive clarification or direction. The first and only meaningful engagement we have received from county legal is the meeting that was just scheduled between Alex and our general counsel, which is set to take place tomorrow. Mind you, we have been asking for this meeting and for this clarification for months, as well as a copy of the insurance that they're stating that we are in breach of contract with. Have not received a copy of that. It is difficult as a contractor and as a partner to correct or respond to alleged deficiencies when no one from the county has been willing to provide the legal clarification we have been requesting for months. Cubic Aviation has never avoided accountability. In fact, we have stated multiple times that we are very willing to pay anything that we are required to pay. We are willing to show up with an AMP the moment we find out that something is wrong. We have actively sought guidance so we could address any concerns and both promptly and professionally. We would like to be in compliance. We want to understand expectations and have been trying in good faith to get the information necessary to do exactly that. We are responding. As I stated in my earlier public comment, we have been waiting to get in contact with legal counsel for the county in order to provide an appropriate response. Thank you.
I was at that meeting that we talked about this insurance stuff. And their insurance agent was online. Mr. Newman was there too as well. And they were talking about agreement and they were gonna get together and work on it. Very next day, email from Dwayne. Hey, you guys need to pay this. How is that working with it? Nobody, there was no finality to that and never got complete.
I won't say it's eloquently as she will. I stand behind my obligations and I always have. I'm as straight up a person you'll ever meet. Not one time have I not taken care of the county. Not one time I've not paid a bill. Not one time I've not been transparent. The only thing and I don't have any problem saying this to the public. I'm deficient on an insurance payment because I have a dispute as to the way the insurance is covering me, which was uncovered over a year ago, which I immediately talked to Mr. Duray about, which I can show you, happy to show you all, the multitude of emails that were ignored for the multitude of months. I asked repeatedly to him, asked repeatedly to Molly, finally got a meeting set up with with Carl. As Marty stated, that never happened. Repeatedly, I asked this board, talk to me, let's get this done. But I want to clearly state that the only thing I've been negligent on this contract is this one piece, which I have said very, very clearly, I'm willing to make good. No problem. I had a problem with the fact that the county was charging me for insurance that didn't cover me. That was my whole problem with it. And I asked repeatedly. Then I got my insurance agent involved. I think we found a way around it. I was ready to take care of it. And then finally, after months, we found a way around it. The AMP, I'll speak to that. I started here with an AMP. It's the first thing I did. I took an AMP on. I put a shop here. And by the way, I defended him when the previous party, which you're well aware, sued me over taking him. I defended him to keep him here. I could have walked because I believed in what I was doing and I believed in bettering the county. Unfortunately, he had to leave. I have been, and again, I could show you repeatedly. I've got ads out everywhere trying to get somebody. I run a shop with, it's tremendously bigger than this. And I can't get people to work for me because there's such a shortage in our industry. But I'll also tell you, I've never left an airplane stranded here ever. Because it's normally me, because I'm an AP. I make sure it happens every time. And I'm pretty sure that anyone in this room will tell you that. So my obligations have been met. The ones that you're saying haven't been, the responsibility, a lot of it lies on you guys for not answering what's been asked of you.
Thank you for your public comment. Public comment.
It was probably over a year ago that Commissioner Ahone put a stop to the Airport Advisory Committee. I had an application in to get on that committee at that time when everything was just cut off. We have not had an airport committee for approximately a year until yourself started coming out about 2 months ago and having meetings. That's a disservice to the community and to the board, and it appears to be somewhat of a hostile takeover from the FBO that's in place. Dwayne has a lot of knowledge because he was the airport manager for many years. Always at the county level. I understand the whole money machine, and the fuel is where the money is at, the jet fuel. I'm general aviation. A lot of us are general aviation, and general aviation does not get the support that the commercial aviation end gets. And I've been trying to get people to understand the growth in aviation is the general aviation at this point. It's the small jets, the training that's going on. Every flight school that has been started up in the last couple of years since COVID. We had CARES Act funding for $18 million to the airport. I don't know where that money went, maybe into operating costs or something. Another $2 million from the FAA. I don't know where that money went, but that should have went into that airport fund. That would have been very nice. We need to build hangars. We need to improve the ramp area. It's a disaster when it comes to the concrete that's just disintegrating in front of us. It's bad for airplanes. It's expensive to repair. Let's see.
Thank you. Public comment?
It was mentioned a few times during the meeting that it's important for the county to have control of the service out there. And that's actually one of my primary concerns. I don't know if any of you have ever had to obtain a badge or maintain a badge, but the service around that is abysmal. It's really bad. And if that's the level of service that we're going to see, that's a really major concern. I think it would be wonderful. I agree. It would be wonderful if the airport was independently profitable. That'd be super cool. I think it's an unreasonable expectation for an airport with the traffic volume that we have, especially given that we're non-EAS. The municipally operated FBOs that Commissioner Newman mentioned, I think the only one with airline service is Escanaba. I don't know if you've seen Escanaba's airport in the news at all over the last few years, but they're repeatedly on the verge of losing all their FAA funding because the county can't operate an airport. That's a major concern. Also, I would encourage you to check in with those. Oh, hang on, let me back up. Another reason I think it's sort of preposterous to expect the airport to be profitable is that it's an economic development tool. It's not a profit center. All of the county's assets are not going to be profitable. Are your roads profitable? Of course not. Your airport doesn't need to be profitable. It'd be cool if it is, and if you can get it, it's fabulous. But that shouldn't be an expectation. Last point on the A&P issue. Yesterday, I flew an airplane from Sawyer to Pennsylvania for an oil change because there's no one around to do the maintenance. It's not their fault. They've got a bunch of A&Ps, but there's such a nationwide shortage of A&Ps. The shops are slammed. I can't get into their shop in Iron Mountain for months for an annual inspection because they're too busy. And it's like that everywhere. You're not going to just snap your fingers and find an A&P. It'd be cool if you did, but it doesn't work that way.
Thank you. Public comment?
Yes, hi. So I wanted to point out here just my observation coming in with not a lot of prior experience to this situation. But this meeting, which is now part of the public record, has shown me that there's a lot of just the dynamic. There's a lot of disunity, confusion, lack of transparency. Vice Chair Bill Nordine all but pleaded for more information. Commissioner Lalonde as well. So I'm disappointed to see that this is moving forward without pumping the brakes a little bit more on this situation. Just one of the many examples of disunity that I just witnessed in the last hour here. Commissioner Newman, you pointed out that service was a big part of the reason for discontinuing the contract. And then very quickly after, Administrator Dwayne said that the service has been very good with the current situation. So that's a lot of confusion that I'm having, and it's just readily apparent to anyone viewing this. One of the other things that comes to mind with this situation is that I understand and respect the idea of taking something in-house, thinking you can hopefully do a better job, maybe do it differently and make some more money. I understand that it doesn't need to be a printing press of money, but you want it to generate more than it is right now. But with the knowledge that I have, I don't see this generating more money if the county takes it over. So the question that I'm kind of asking myself is, are the taxpayers, is the county, is this board ready to increase the deficit that you're incurring right now? I think it was at 450 right now in this area. And I don't see that deficit decreasing, going the way that you want. Vice Chair Bill Nordine, you mentioned in the early 2000s, and you've seen lots of different lease revenue plans and different plans that in the moment they sound great. 10 years later, you look back on it and say, oh shoot, what happened there? And I'm disappointed to say this, but I think that this situation is happening right now, that 10 years from now, you'll look back and might regret this. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. Any further public comment? Do we have any electronic comments? Oh, sorry, Margaret.
Mayor.
Go ahead.
Margaret Brown, 440 East Magnetic Street, Marquette, Michigan. I started the public comment with a basic question saying, I don't know why we're here. I don't know what's going on. Now I do know why we're here. I do know what's going on. And I have the luxury that nobody else in the room does. I have no skin in this game. I fly occasionally, but I don't fly readily. My income does not depend upon the airport. My future of Marquette County does not depend upon the airport. There are other concerns I have. So I can speak from the 50,000 point of view. I don't know what plane goes up that high. Couple things. I have been involved as an attorney in trying to get out of an agreement. And this one is no different than any other agreement that people try to get out of. It's already been done. And yet I heard two members of the board say we didn't have enough information from the party that recommended we drop it. That's a red flag from any organization because it means they weren't given proper information. We have a brand new board member, Mr. Newman, who spewed a ton of information that was brand new to everyone but him and to Mr. DeRay. That's bad procedure. And when I say bad procedure, I don't mean he's a bad person. I mean, it's bad procedure to have one person dominate at this stage of the game. Number three, as an airport person, there is no way that I can see that anybody here can be sure that there's going to be fuel for the planes in May. These fine group of people are now hearing for the first time, there ain't going to be no tomorrow. Excuse my vulgarity. There ain't going to be no tomorrow because you're going to go ahead and terminate this contract. They got to make a living. They got to plan. Their skills are highly in demand. Their company will be dealing with them leaving as fast as they can, make sure they have income for their families. So you're breaking up the one organization. You're not, excuse me, apologies. The situation will cause this organization, which is functional and viable, to fall apart. That is loss of jobs, loss of income, loss of readiness. Therefore, your ability as airport people to guarantee another show, the Koreans come in and test their airport, you can't do that because you don't have a guarantee on fuel. I apologize for the bluntness of this, but remember, I don't have skin in the game. You don't have a replacement lined up for them. Or if you do, you're concealing it, which is another thing. But they're gone. You can see it in their faces. They're heading back to their offices right now and making their futures available because they don't believe there's any future here. That is a huge red flag because there isn't any other place we can go right now in the UP for fuel. I'm a chemical engineer. That part I'm absolutely sure of. Every fuel contract in the UP is booked out for over 18 months. I used to be on the Board of Light and Power. I can tell you the lead times for even basic equipment are a year and a half. You're not going to be able to find somebody who can guarantee your fuel contracts. Now I say that again from the cheap seats. I'm not answering to you. I'm not answering to them. I'm just saying you tossed them out the door.
Time's up.
I apologize.
That's right.
That's but my conclusion is
Please conclude.
this could have been done much more professionally on both sides and move forward so that we have fuel in May. That's my conclusion.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Any further public comment? Hearing none, we'll close. Not electronic, good? Okay, thank you. Commissioners' comments.
Well, I'm sure we all have lots, but I'm happy to start.
Would you like to start?
I'd love to.
Sure.
You know, first I want to make it very clear that I don't have any issue with Cubic's performance at all. And from what I've heard, I think they've done a fine job, and I could care less about the insurance issue. This was more about whether or not the county could make their airport viable, financially viable. That's all it's about. I think that's my point of view. Now, yes, we didn't have a lot of information, but I think I heard enough that, and like I said, when I go back to the 2000, when we talked about trying to make the airport viable, this might be the only chance we have. So it has nothing. I feel bad if Kubic thinks that we were unhappy with their performance, because I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. The disunity comment, I'm not sure this is disunity. I got to tell you what I think of municipal boards. I hate municipal boards that make a decision and vote on it and they never talk about it. That irritates me, because I feel like they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is fleshing out the subject and talking through it. And that's what we're supposed to do. And I think that this was good government today, because we talked through the issue. And I think that's very important. It's not disunity, it's democracy. So there's my 2 cents.
Commissioner, I'm working this way.
Well, I certainly agree with both chairs' comments, and I'm not going to reiterate them. I do want to correct Mr. Durant, who said that I had closed the Airport Advisory Committee. That was a county board decision, and it was made at the time that they decided to create this Airport Advisory Committee, or Airport Regional. Whatever we're calling it.
Commissioner Lalone.
It was tough today,
Yeah.
but I agree with Bill. This is good government, and we are very united. Our board is. We do argue. When I got appointed to the board, my chair took me aside and said, sometimes we're not going to get along. You know, we're going to fight, and he and I do fight. But it's because we're trying to hash out things publicly so we can understand it. So, you know, a board is made up of individuals, and we all have different ways of doing things and learning, and I appreciated the discussion today. And I always appreciate it even when we're not in agreement, so.
Commissioner Newman.
I'm gonna save my thoughts for myself.
Okay. Corey Beth. Kimmy. Council.
Nothing.
Dwayne.
Nothing.
Everybody's a pass on the buck. Well, I'm gonna make a couple of comments. Again, what brought us here is a financial commitment to the taxpayers of Marquette County. And part of that is taking over the service that we provide, the community and the Sawyer operations. All of those contracts, I want to be clear, all of the contracts are being looked at, not just Kubic today. But I want to also, when I hear the words, it's readily apparent, right? Let me tell you what's readily apparent. We entered into a contractual obligation with a company, contractual obligation. Documents in that agreement were agreed upon. We had to provide insurance because the cost of the insurance requirement was cost prohibitive for Mr. Kubic at the time. We provided that insurance, and in the agreement, it stated how it was going to be rolled out. We had a dispute about that specific issue for quite some time, right? So the currently at that time was the airport administrator handling it. Now he's the county administrator. So, and when I hear things like, we're going to work a roundabout, and that's troubling. We shouldn't be working roundabouts with liability insurance for aviation at Sawyer Airport. That's a problem. And then there's the AP piece, right? So we had a contractual obligation. The county chose and spoke to that today for no cause based on the contractual obligation that was signed. But let's deal with those facts, not roundabouts and what's readily apparent. It's readily apparent that we were not able, when we get a direction from council not to talk about this, some of that lies on me as the chair, and Dwayne being the new administrator. And of course, we've been juggling council over the last year here for a bit, so I get it. I hear the board. We'll have to, as we proceed forward, I think we should probably have some closed session on our next annual regular meeting to give a full update and on where we're at outside of on these other issues. So I look forward to doing that, right, as we move forward, because I don't want to be ever perceived that we're not being transparent in any way, shape, or fast. If it was up to me, I would, I am surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, and if Mr. Adamini here, we'd have 5 attorneys to flesh this out. So I'm always a little cautious.
I'm mostly an engineer. I'm just.
Okay. All right. So that's all I have. I understand the heartburn that Kubik may be experiencing. I would like to, reach out to say, what is the exit plan and how can we mitigate that if they're willing? So you can contact Mr. Dure if that's the path you choose to take. So that's all I have. Thank you for the dialogue, board, and there is no closed session. Meeting adjourned.